Welcome back to the channel. My name is Thomas Fletcher and I'm the host of the Military Social Work Network. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor by smashing that like button, by subscribing to the channel, and by sharing this video with your social work colleagues and friends. The purpose of this channel is to create a community of hope and support where military and civilian social workers can come for relevant news, information, and inspiration. Welcome back. As I am filming this video today, I have just passed my 6-month mark of this deployment, and I've also reached a really cool milestone. 10 years ago today, I held up my right hand and I took the oath of office to become a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army and in the California Army National Guard. So I feel so blessed, so grateful to be here 10 years later. 10 years ago today, I could not imagine that I would be serving my country in the Middle East as a behavioral health officer, as a licensed clinical social worker for the military. It's been an amazing journey. I've learned so much over these last 10 years. I've learned what it means to serve in uniform, what it means to have battle buddies that you care about, that are to your left, to your right. I've learned about the struggles that our service members experience. And as a social worker, it's quite humbling to learn over these years, especially during this deployment, that one of the most important factors which affects the fighting force, which affects how effective soldiers and service members are, is the quality of their relationships. Quality of relationships both in the unit, during deployment, as well as relationships back at home. I think this is probably my most significant lesson that I've learned during this deployment. When service members are not able to effectively deal with relationships, both work relationships, as well as personal relationships here in the field during deployment, as well as personal relationships back at home, whether it's spouse, whether it's siblings, whether it's parents, death in the families, divorces, infidelity. All these things affect us as service members. And that's one value. That's, as a behavioral health officer, as a social worker, part of a team of behavioral health officers, we have been able to conserve the fighting force for our unit. We've been able to keep people here in the fight so that they can do their jobs, because we've been able to help them develop and strengthen their coping strategies for all the different relationships, whether it's work relationships, whether it's their significant other, whether it's their parents, whether it's their children. So important. The work that we do as behavioral health officers is so important. So if you're a social worker, if you're an MSW student, I would highly encourage you to consider a career in the military as a military social worker. I would ask you to consider becoming a commissioned officer. And I just want to state, as I state in other videos, that I'm not being endorsed, promoted, or sponsored. I'm not a recruiter, okay? So I'm not being paid to encourage people to join the military, but as somebody who has served now for 10 years on the reserve component side, so this last 6 months is my first experience serving for 6 months in an active duty capacity, but I will be going back home soon, and I'll be returning to the VA, which I'm very grateful for, because I have so much lived experience now that I can take back and share with my colleagues in the VA about how we can do a better job of doing assessments when we're meeting with new veterans that are coming in for the first time that have combat deployment experience. Um, but again, since the primary audience for this channel is social workers, I would strongly, especially if you're younger in life, even though I started this journey a few months after I turned 40, so that should also give you hope. It's never too late. You know, you can start this journey, your military career. You could start it at 18. You could start at 21. You could start it at 31. You could start it at 41, right? And I'm talking specifically as a social worker. So, because the military does provide age waivers after the age of 42, specifically the Army. But I would encourage my social work colleagues, if you're thinking about joining the military, you have so many skills that you can provide to these service members. So consider it. Consider it. I think it's been such a rewarding experience for me. That I'm looking forward to the next 10 years. Yeah, I've decided that, yeah, I'm going to continue with this military social work path, and God willing, I'll make it to 20 years and retire. And but that's all I wanted to share. I just wanted to encourage my social work brethren and sisterin out there. You know, if you're looking for a fulfilling career in social worker, seriously consider a military social work career, a uniformed social work career, as well as the VA. You know, as well as the VA. You know, some of you are social workers, and maybe you don't want to go the uniform route. Maybe you don't want to get deployed. Oh, here's another thing. If you are thinking about joining the military to become a military social worker, uniformed social worker, you have to accept the reality that you could be asked to deploy. So if you're gonna take the oath, I don't want to hear that you don't want to go on a deployment, because that's really not the spirit that you should be joining. If you're serious about joining as a uniformed military social worker, you have to be ready to answer that call. Yes, it's a sacrifice. I haven't seen my wife in over 6 months. But we've been very privileged, very blessed that we can talk on the phone just about every day. But yes, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. But that's, that's what we do when we take the oath of office. Okay? So if you think it's too much of a sacrifice, then yeah, don't even join on the uniform side. You could still join. You could still become a civilian social worker for the DoD or for the VA, and you could still provide services to service members and veterans on the civilian side. But if you do want to join the uniform side, you have to be willing and ready to step up to the plate if they need social workers, if they need behavioral health officers for deployment. Please take that seriously. All right, I'm going to stop right there, but I want to thank you all for everything that you do every day for your clients, for your agency, and for the profession. Please continue to support each other and yourselves. Bye for now.